In a film industry that has often been both ageist and sexist, how do two of our finest actors carve a space that is uniquely theirs? I'm Barkhadat Yo with the Mojo Story. Let me introduce our two speakers whom we'll be joining in moments from now. Vidya Balan and Shifali Shah are co acting in the soon to hit our screens thriller Jalsa. Vidya plays somebody from my profession, a presenter who does sit down interviews, and Shifali plays a cook. This, of course, is the latest in what two of our finest actors have been up to, but they're also two of my favorite women for a different reason. They both speak their mind, they're both fiercely individualistic, they're not hesitant to set their own terms for who they want to be, and they've made a space for themselves in an industry that is often both sexist and ageist, literally from muscle memory. Let's go across now on this holy weekend, taking a short break from our usual dose of politics and war and COVID to talk to both Vidya Balan and Shifali Shah about making their own space in an industry where it's often not so easy for women, even today, to do so. And of course, to talk about their new thriller, Jalsa. Great to see both of you, Shefali and Vidya. And we'll get to Jalsa in a moment from now. And I'm not going to ask you all the usual questions about women centric cinema and all the rest of it. I'm more interested in how both of you are feeling today. In your 40s, one is almost in your 40s, one is almost 50. I know the typical thing is to not talk about women's ages. I'm 50. I want to talk about how you're feeling about where you are in the industry today. So I'll start with you, Vidya. How do you feel about the relationship between you, your work, and the industry?
I feel it's wonderful. I there's no precedent, honestly, for someone my age doing the kind of work I'm doing. And I think I just love where I am. I love the place I occupy. I love the fact that I work at my own pace, and I'm grateful for all the love I continue to receive. So yeah, it's been fantastic in terms of the work. It's only been getting better and better over the years in terms of the kind of content that I get offered and I end up doing. So I'm really enjoying being me at this age and stage of my life.
And there's a reason, Shafali, that I started by talking about age because I think it's one of those taboo subjects that in the world of entertainment we hardly ever spoken about. You've spoken in the past about being 30 and being given mom roles, and you've spoken today about OTT platforms changing that for women like you. But still, is there a disappointment? I think I read somewhere that you'd expected a deluge of work. It isn't a deluge. It's great work, but it isn't a deluge. Is that frustrating, Shafali?
Not anymore, Barkha. It used to be, but not anymore. I have to say that the last 2 years, and since I did Telecrime, things really changed for me. In fact, it became the turning point of my career. And some years ago, if there was a conversation of a woman in her late 40s actually coming into her own space and owning it, I wouldn't have believed that conversation. But I am here. I am finally doing the work I want to do. I'm getting parallel leads and leads. And I mean, there are people who are writing scripts for me. And I think it's just, I'm hoping it grows even more. But I can't complain. At least today, I can't complain.
Let me ask both of you, what has been the toughest part of this journey? I know at different stages you've spoken about ageism, Vidya has spoken about body shaming, but if you had to pick up one thing that has frustrated you, that makes you miserable, that keeps you up at night, and I know you're both, I've known both of you for years. You're spunky, strong women, so you're not going to roll over and play dead. But yet, it's important for other women to understand this is not easy. It's not easy for women in any profession. Vidya, I'll start with you. What's been the toughest sort of obstacle to getting to the point where you're today at comfortable in your own skin, happy with your work?
Yeah, to not fall prey to the expectations that people impose upon you, to not um, to not really to cut out the noise, and to really tune into what you feel, to your instinct, to your gut, and to just be yourself unapologetically. I think it's a it is work in progress always. I think I've come a long way, but I'd like to believe that I'm almost 90% there. But it's still, it's sometimes you do wonder what is the right thing to do, and whether these things that they say about women and how tough it is for a woman to lead a film, or for her to continue to do so, all these things, whether there's any truth there. There are days when I go through doubt, but thankfully now my bounce back is much faster. But I think that is, for me, especially in this business, I think just to hold on to yourself, to be yourself, is the most precious thing, but it's the toughest thing to do.
Every time like women ask me at all of these seminars and conferences one goes to, like, what is the toughest thing about being a woman? And I said, it's the courage to be yourself, because it can feel lonely. It can feel, you feel judged. You work 3 times as hard as the men to get to the same place. Then you're scrutinized 3 times as harder. Shefali, what's been the toughest sort of moment for you? You've also come from this place where you were once slaughtered as the parallel cinema, right? You've had to fight different kinds of battles from Vidya. Vidya's had to fight different kinds of battles from you. And both of you have had to fight very hard to get to this place. It's a well-earned, well-fought-for place. Are you unapologetic, or do you find yourself still apologizing for something or the other?
No, not from the industry. I apologize very often in real life because I just think it's so much simpler to sort an issue. I mean, but not in the industry. Yes, what used to bother me a lot was the weight, and what really bothered me was there was always a lot of love and appreciation, but it didn't translate into work. I'd meet people and they'd say, you're one of the finest, or we really want to work with you. And then they come to you with something which is like, it's disrespectful. It's just disrespectful, so that used to really bother me. And I don't want to think about it right now because touch wood, I am in a very good space, and things have changed in the last year for me. But I really hope people don't go back to doing that. It's so easy to doing it. They'll see my work, they'll say, oh, wow. And I just hope I don't fizzle out like yet another phase. Do you know what I mean?
That's not going to happen.
But Vidya, the thing is that honestly, how many times in our industry, particularly, is talent valued over star power?
But here's the thing: Vidya's a big star, but Vidya's had to deal with body shaming issues. And I'm not saying, Shefali, you're not a star, but I'm saying in the conventional sense, the kind of stardom that you're talking about. And Vidya, you have forbidden the retouching of your pictures in an Instagram age where everybody uses a filter to basically look nothing like we actually look like. Where did that courage come from? Because you've gone through your phase of self-loathing, of hating your body, of producers making you feel, that you shouldn't like yourself. And you've had the courage to say, don't retouch me. Don't Photoshop.
Barkha, I have to say that for the longest time in my career, every time I got signed on for a film, at some point the director or the producer would come and tell me, it would be great if you can lose a little weight for the film. And finally, I think it was around Hamari Adhuri Kahani. I've also gone through health-wise, lots of hormonal issues and things like that, but I don't want to give an excuse for the body I am in. But I started saying, what? Take it or leave it. I have it. It's a huge challenge for me to lose weight, and I won't be able to do it. So if you want someone of a different body frame, please go ahead and cast someone else. It's not me you're looking for then. And now, for the past, since Shakuntala, people have stopped saying that. So Shakuntala, Sherni, Jalsa, that's not happened. And I'm so happy, because I started actually standing up for my body. Similarly, when, and this came with a realization that the body is actually keeping me alive, and I've spent most of my life hating my body. It's ridiculous. Someday it's going to shut down and then there's no point of anything, right? But yeah, but also about the retouching of pictures, I just feel it's the fear of being found out. You're seeing me in person and I'm one body, and then in my pictures I'm something else. I feel like a cheat. And I was like, people are going to anyway say, "Arey, ye to touch up karati hai." And why? For what? To what end?
But
I feel the way I am.
yeah.
I feel beautiful the way I am. I don't want to be someone else or something else.
And hats off to you for that. But let me tell you how deep this runs. We had Alia Bhatt speaking at my We the Women forum just a week ago. And she spoke about how she, in therapy, discovered that she, at 29, has body image issues. She doesn't like her body. So, you're talking about somebody maybe a generation younger who's also grappling with this. I mean, Vidya, when is this going to end? When are we going to stop hating ourselves?
I don't know. I think because I think primarily because we've been seen as objects of desire, and we've seen desirability, we've equated that with a certain kind of body, which is so deeply ingrained. But actually, if you see the sculptures and you see even the Romanesque paintings, they're all wholesome women. But that is, I'm talking about physical desirability, right? Today, that desirability just does not come from physicality. We've realized that there's so much more to us that needs to be embraced and celebrated, and just we need to own that. And that's giving us, we are feeling more desirable. Forget what anyone has to say. We are not looking for that validation from others. But I'm still talking about a very small percentage of women who have that realization, and maybe largely women who are in their 40s. Like I love saying that I'm 43, and someone was asking us the other day, is 40s the new 20s? And I was like, no,
Yeah.
please. I'm 43 and I'm very happy being in my 40s, because I think there also comes a stage, I think in your 40s, when you say that, this is how I am, take it or leave it.
I was going to say that it's really odd. We were taught that women are scared of getting older. At least I find that in the getting older, there is a kind of sort of freedom I feel from other people's expectations that I did not feel in my 20s and I did not feel in my 30s. And I can see both of you nodding along. So let me bring Shifali, you into this conversation. I read an interview where you spoke about casual sexism. It's a lifelong battle. We all battle it. Sometimes even we're sexist without realizing it. And you spoke about how I think your husband was doing the dishes and his mother said, "Itna bada director और बर्तन धो रहा है," and you thought कि जब मैं बर्तन धोती हूँ तो मेरे बारे में तो कोई नहीं कहती इतनी बड़ी स्टार और वो बर्तन धो रही है. So talk a little bit about this ingrained casual sexism that is a lifelong battle to get past.
Barkha, thank you. You asked me this question because I don't know whether you saw the video interview. I was talking in jest. I was laughing about it because I mean, it's been years of conditioning. How can whether it's my mother-in-law, whether it's my mother, it's my father, it's years of conditioning that the woman stays at home and looks after the house. She does the household chores. The husband goes out and works. That whole thing. So it's the term sexism, I find it, in reference to what I said, a little too harsh. I really find it a little too harsh. And I mean, these are things you laugh about. Also, when I don't go to work, or if I'm at home, nobody asks me why, no, haven't you gone to work? People would never ask me that question. But if he's at home, I'll ask, "Are you're not going to office today?" So is that sexism?
That's
You know,
right. That's a great point because the fact that men are also socialized to be the providers, to be macho in a way that society understands it, is something we don't talk often enough. But Shifali, let me tell you a story that might make you feel better. I was interviewing Indra Nooyi, and she has this moment in her memoir where she talks about how she comes home and she's just been appointed the PepsiCo chairperson, and her mother tells her, "Ha ha, all that is very well, but you didn't get the milk, and I don't care about what happens to you at work. Leave your crown in the garage. So, of course, it's years of conditioning, and it happens to the highest achievers across professions. But Vidya, you have decided, and I think so, Shafali is also quite sparing about these decisions to not work in productions that are run by your husband. Does that come from wanting a space that is outside of him so that people don't point fingers and say, ha ha, aapka to production house hai?
Yeah, one that I think that definitely plays a very important role because I feel I've worked hard to reach where I have, and I take great pride in the fact that I've had no, of course, I've had my family, and in the past 12 years, I've had Siddharth to support me. But, my decisions have been my own. I've really had no constant backing in that sense professionally to reach where I have. And now, if someone's going to reduce my achievements to saying, पर पति का प्रोडक्शन हाउस है ना, या फिर दे से आपका प्रोडक्शन हाउस है, आपका तो हो जाएगा, आपकी, I would not like that, because I work very hard towards what I do. So I don't want, and people can be quite reductive, and I think, I'm sure even I've been like that at some point, unknowingly, but that's one thing. The other is because I think in case we do something together and it doesn't work, I don't want both of us to wallow in, that we don't. I don't want both of us to be feeling low, because it happened after Ghanchakar. When Ghanchakar didn't work, instead of offering the shoulder, my shoulder to him or him offering it to me, we were like both feeling down and out. I don't want to go through that ever again.
Yeah, makes sense. Both of you there, Shefali. And then we'll talk a little bit about Jalsa. Equal pay for equal work. Is it changing?
That's very relative, Barkha. Because the budgets that female-led films get are much smaller than the male-led films, right? But if you look at the proportion or the ratio of the overall budget that we get versus what the men get, it's pretty much equal. So I think but we're in absolute terms, there is no comparison. There are actors who are making, 120 crores today, and God bless them for that. But we have a long way to go.
And there are actors who at 50 are still sort of romancing other actors in their 20s. So there's a lot to talk about and unpack on ageism. Shefali, do you want to add to the equal pay, equal work argument? Like, do you think that women have at least become more vocal about it?
I agree with Vidya. Also, I have a feeling it's not just between men and women. It could be between two men and two women. So according to the star power of the person, that pay will be higher. Like I said earlier, your talent does not translate into work or your pay. I have yet to come across somebody who says, please take a lot of money. Yeah. But having said that, like I know that some of the top paid people on OTT are women.
Yeah. I think OTT has set a lot of actors free, especially women, and there's no doubt about that. So let's talk about Jalsa. It's a thriller. One of you is a broadcast interviewer, Vidya, and the other is a cook. And we don't want to give the story away, but tell us a little bit about why this is exciting, both of you. Vidya.
For me, it's the fact that, for the first time, I got to explore the grey, where in a way which does not necessarily attract empathy from people. So for me, that's what made it exciting. And the fact that when you watch the story, it is, of course, helped by two women, and thank God for that. But this is actually a human story. It could have been two men. It could have been one man, one woman. Most importantly, it makes you realize that until you're in a particular situation, you never know how you're going to behave. And it's very easy for us to sit in judgment of someone else. And I'm, of course, I almost feel like I'm intellectualizing everything, but most importantly, it's a drama which is very, very thrilling. So it's got, it keeps you on the edge of your seat, and yet it tears your heart.
And it's
At your
interesting. And it's interesting that you say that the two characters or the protagonists could have been men, because then it makes it even more interesting that they've cast two women in the role. Shefali, if you want to tell our audience why they should be seeing Jalsa, what would you say?
It's one of those rare films with extremely high and intense EQ and IQ. And it's raw, it's real, it could happen to anybody. It is a thriller that will keep you on the edge of your seat, but it's a human drama. And, that's the beauty of it. It's so human that there are characters who are flawed as well. But when you're watching it, I feel so that everyone's going to question it once. That what if I was in this position? And of
Yeah,
course,
that's
it's,
Yeah.
what would I do? And it's amazing filmmaking, but it's so pure. It's so raw and real. It comes straight from the heart and it really hits you hard. I knew the script. I swallowed it whole. When I saw the film, I was not prepared to be hit so hard by the film. I was not prepared.
Well, I'm really looking forward to watching it and watching both of you in it. Before we let you go, what is the one thing you would tell your 18-year-old self today? Shefali, I'll start with you and then give the last word to Vidya. With the life you have lived, what would you tell your 18-year-old self today?
I tell the 18-year-old Shefali to meet Vidya Balan and have the clarity and confidence to own her space, to own herself, and I'm pretty unapologetic about a lot of things. But as far as I am concerned, I have issues about the way I look. I do not like the way I look. I have self-doubt. I question myself every time I do something. I may come across as something else, and when I'm talking to somebody else, I really don't care. But how do I say that to myself? I haven't yet reached that place. So I wish I had, like, she's trying to change me bit by bit. Every day I hear her and I feel, thoda change to karna chahiye. Like, don't question yourself so much. Don't beat your head over it. But yes, I really wish, and it's not like people I love didn't try it. Trust me, they try it every day. But it's just something that I battle. I have a lot of self-doubt. I don't trust myself as much as I should. I'm not happy with the way I look. I'm just...
Who would believe that? But isn't that amazing that someone like her would have self-doubt? But I think that's what makes us realize that anyone could have self-doubt. It doesn't matter how the world looks at you, it's how you look at yourself. And that's what I would have told my 18-year-old self, that, unless you love yourself, the world will not love you.
True.
And we go at it the other way around.
And I just want to say to you, Shefali, that for an actor in the public eye to come out on camera and say, I don't like the way I look, is an act of extreme confidence, by the way. That you're able to share that in itself shows that you actually have way more comfort with yourself than I think you acknowledge. Yeah, I don't think that. Thank you both. Thank you both. Looking forward to watching Jalsa, and please keep being yourselves. It's a cliche, but it's the toughest thing for women to do. And when people like yourselves do it, I think there are a lot of women watching this who can relate. They may not be stars, they may not be actors, but they pick up those little battles that you both fight, because they fight them too. We all fight them. So thank you, Vidya and Shefali, and good luck.
Thank you. And I have to say on record that I admire you greatly for all that you've done, Barkha. So thank you, and more power to you.
Ditto. And please take care. I really hope that all of yours gets better fast.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye, Barkha. Thank you.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.